car that everyone wants to know about, wants to see on the channel. This glorious GT3 RS. Well, I've just come off, I'm going to call it the Porsche Centre South Lakes Junction, because their facility is well and truly underway, and now the Porsche logo has been placed on the building, so I think it's going to be a summer opening party. Pothole, yeah, we're going to be damaging these wheels if we can help it. So yes, the GT3 RS, and there's more, and more. And then you look out your rear view mirror and you just see the airflow and the mist of water just come off the back of the car. The turbulence from the rear spoiler, the mighty rear spoiler on this car. Okay, well, in today's video I'm going to talk about the GT3 that's just been launched by Frank, the Frank and Andy show, and Sarah was a very good presenter too. Now, sometimes when a new GT3 is launched, or a new GT3 product, GT cars launch, you might find yourself in what is the older version all of a sudden. What I want to say about that is that don't worry, because every Porsche GT3 that's been created has basically been the pinnacle of the engineering, the pinnacle of thinking, and the culmination of what Weissach could put together at that time. And I think, as we saw when I drove the 997 4-litre, sometimes you don't always have to go forwards to get something better. Sometimes you can go back and find fantastic engineering and extremely exciting cars in the back catalogue, and we saw that with the 997 4-litre. And I honestly believe that the 991.2 is going to go down as a sensational car, and one that enthusiasts are going to want, and are going to want to. It's just got the performance, this thing. It really has. It's got so much juice. So when an opportunity comes up, you've got a lot of confidence in taking it. But coming back to the 991.2, the reason I like second generation cars is because that's kind of it. You know, the curtain's been closed, that's the car. Okay, you've got to go into another generation. To have a car which is said by the journalists and the motoring press, some of these famous YouTubers, personalities, as being the better car. And so I like the fact that as far as 991 generation GT cars go, this is it. And that's one of the reasons I like to have the second generation cars when they come out. And there we go. So anyway, let's talk about the GT3, the Andy and Frank show. For me, the new GT3, it's got a lot of new things, it's got a lot of upgrades, and it's got a lot of tech in it. And I think what a lot of people are kind of wondering is, it's not any faster. Well, it is faster if you go on the Nürburgring and you're a Porsche factory racing driver and you're used to driving the RSR and you've got a clear track and the weather conditions are for you, then yeah, you can shave 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I think it's 16 seconds actually, or whatever it is, off the lap time of the previous car. But let's just have a little bit of a reality check and ask ourselves, well, when are you going to be doing 140, 50, 60, 70 miles per hour in your GT3? You're not, are you? So you're going to be doing spirited driving and that sudden burst of power is important to you. And so as far as day-to-day driving is concerned, putting the car on any UK tour road, then it's not any faster. I do think that the swan neck rear spoiler is a little bit, it may be for some people. Personally, I don't think it looks as graceful as the previous one. That's just me. I think that it's a little bit wider at the front, and that's the other thing about the GT3 car, is that over the 991 it's got a little bit bigger. If you look at 991 over 997, the car swelled in size, and that knocks on to the weight, you see. I'm going to get past this car here if I can. So slow. No trouble. So with the 992, again, the platform, as Andres has told us, keen to tell us all, the platform's more competent. It's because it's wider and it's bigger, and with that came extra weight. So one of the really cool things about the 992 GT3 is how they've put lots of weight-saving engineering into it. So you've now got a carbon fibre front bonnet, you know, as the Americans call it, the hood. Anyway, you've got lightweight glass in the car. So you've got all of these sort of like weight reduction measures. You've got a lithium battery, which saves more weight. And if you're prepared to spend £2,400, you can have a carbon fibre roof too. So what they've added to the car in terms of dimensions and weight, with the one hand the generation step up, they've also been able to step back the weight with the GT3, and I think that's interesting. Another thing that stood out to me when I watched the video, I had to watch it on record. I couldn't watch it live, I had other things to do, try and earn a living, pay for this car, and other cars that are coming. But was that they were talking about how the new 992, they've managed to sort out with the petrol particulate filter these OPFs that came on the car, the second batch of 991.2 RS and onwards. What they've said is they've managed to do the muffler and the OPF into one kind of unit, so the car does sound better. And certainly from what you can see of it and the promo, yeah, I think it does sound good. And I'm sure that all the retro exhaust manufacturers will be clamouring to make it even better. There'll be, you know, options to get Sharkworks probably, or an IPE, or JCR seems to be the flavour in this country to go for. So, you know, I think it doesn't sound as good as this. But I think that's difficult when you've got the polar bears to be looking out for. The way this car takes the bends, and the noise and the emotion in the feel. So if you are someone that's trying to get a 992 GT3 and it's not looking good, the other thing I want to say is I think 2022 will be kinder to you. I think Porsche are likely to be making this car until 2023. You only have to look at the GT4. They're still being made. It was launched in the summer of 2019. So the car's going to be around for a while, and I think they're going to build a few more than they normally do. So if it's a no at the moment, I don't think it might not necessarily be a no in 2022. But the thing about it is, they are going to be a hard car to get, and you're going to have had some buying history. You're going to have to know the people at the centre. If you've just put your name on the list and they've never met you, even if you bought a car off them, they're likely to have forgotten the face behind the name. So we'll see. Okay, a little bit of car news next. Well, maybe before I go into that, I just want to say that, yeah, the 992 GT3 is going to be a sensational car. It's going to be great to drive. I'm looking forward to seeing one up close when I can. I want to just talk about a car. I did mention that I was going to be reviewing. There's a little bit of car news from one of my pals. The GT3 RS. I think the most enjoyed, the most seen GT2 RS on social media from one of my pals, Miles. I believe it's been sold. I was hoping to have done a review on that car at some point later this year, but unfortunately it's gone. But all is not lost, because let's get a bit of this. I had to ease the power in there because the road's a little bit damp, and but it's bloody well got it, this thing. It's bloody well got it. Okay, yeah, so GT3 RS, sorry, GT2 RS. That sudden burst of excitement, lost my train of thought. Yeah, so yeah, it's a car he sold, but his replacement is not too shabby. He's got a 911R in its replacement, so I'm hoping and praying I can get that on the channel before long. I do know somebody else who owns one, but it doesn't use it quite as much, and I don't blame him really, because it's such a special car, which I may have had a chance to drive at some point, but I'm hoping that we can get access to that car and drive it. Okay, coming back to the 992 GT3 again then. I have been approached by someone that's got, you might say, an early bird allocation. So he's actually got an allocation on a 992 GT3, and I'm advised that the sensor have told him to expect an April delivery for that car. So I'm looking forward to driving it. So obviously I'm not going to be as early as some of the aficionados and the sort of highly followed media people, social media people, and others, but nonetheless, I'll get it in my hands on that steering wheel before long, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you in the spring. Okay, so why is it not a Costco Drives? Well, it's because I'm heading northwards today. I've just hit the A6, and now it's the A591, and we're heading to Porsche Centre Kendal because I'm reviewing another car. And after the rawness and the firmness of this particular car, and the excitement and the raucous engine in the back, it's going to be nice to settle back and have something a little bit more comfortable to drive in the McCann GTS, and that's coming up on the channel very soon. In fact, when this video goes out, I'll have the McCann video won't have actually gone out yet, because it's just confusing to remember when the videos are going out and when I do them. But never mind. Okay, a little bit of watch talk then, because I've not really been focusing on that too much. So today, under the newly acquired Fair Isle Shetland sweater, which I've just recently received, I'm wearing my GMT Master 2 116719 BLRO. Now, this watch was launched a few years back now, and it was the first Rolex that had a ceramic bezel in red, and this was a thing which Rolex didn't think was possible. Now, the Pepsi, a GMT, of which I've got the previous sort of generation watch in steel, when I first saw this watch launch, I just really wanted it because it was classy, it was understated, and it had the red and the blue, and on the oyster bracelet it signified it to be white gold. And I was a little bit disappointed when they dropped the black dial, because this has got a black dial in it, and they put a blue dial in it, and then they just dropped the black dial, and then they brought out the same blue and red bezel, and they put it on a Jubilee bracelet and made it in steel. So there I was spending all this money on a gold watch. and they've actually brought it out in steel. But anyway, these downshifts are just brutal. Okay, so I was a little bit disappointed when Rolex did that, because for those that know, then they know this watch is they know it's a white gold model, and I have to say I do very much prefer the, you know, the oyster bracelet on Rolex watches. I really do. I might just get it off my wrist when I get to the sensor, because I'm not going to part. There's no part 2 in this video. It's just one take. A bit like the smoking tyre in America, just one take. These videos are very similar to mine, actually, aren't they? Well, you know, mine are very similar to his, although he does have a few different camera angles when he's going up those Californian mountain roads. So, but this is a super watch. It's very understated, and it just slots in. You know, the metal, it just glints that bit more. Just really pops in the right kind of light. And I like the fact again that it's discontinued. You know, so you can't get the black dial anymore. So there we go. The Pepsi in steel and Jubilee has been ultra popular. They're really hard to get. But I have got my name down at my dealer for this watch in the next generation, the 126719. But I want the meteorite dial, and one of my friends has just got that watch, so I'm going to have it up close and personal soon to drool over, because again, they're in short supply. Agents don't get that. I think they get about one or two watches a year, so it's a watch which is difficult to get. So okay. So as we head into Kendal, I took this very route all those years ago when I bought my first GT car from Kendal. I remember coming down the hill and seeing the church and thinking to myself, I'm going to be driving away in a GT3 today. It was absolute bonkers. And I still miss that car. I really do miss it still, even though I have this one. I really do miss it. Okay, also just a big thanks to people who have, you know, put some comments in about the Spider. As you know, I'm going to find out very soon whether I've got a build slot for June. The centre's trying to push for that for me. The little twist about the spec, that's one of the reasons why it's a little bit more difficult to get the slot. But if that doesn't come off, then it's going to be probably between July and then September in the next kind of quarterly build allocation. So, you know, I'm praying that it comes off. Another thing I'm really praying for is my Scottish Highlands trip, which is, you know, it's 6 weeks yesterday, and of course it's looking very much in the balance, because I just don't know whether the government's going to relax things, whether we're going to be able to do it in limited numbers, smaller groups, and the restaurants and all this, that and the other. So, you know, I'd almost sacrifice one of my watches to be able to do that trip. But if it doesn't come off in the spring, in April, well, we'll just have to see if we can rearrange it. The trip I did in October 2020, that was like a rearranged affair, because I couldn't do the spring 2020, so we moved it forward when the country opened up a bit. We just got to get this inoculation, we've got to get this, you know, vaccine into the population. We just got to get it moving, protect the vulnerable. People of my age and the working age population, they're not overly vulnerable in my opinion. I don't want to be too political about it, but there we go. Well, here we are. We've arrived at Porsche Centre Kendal. I won't be saying that for very much longer, because the centre with its lights off, obviously it's closed to sort of the public and going in and schmoozing the cars and ordering a car. So it's been closed for that. So it's a bit eerie when you come to the centre, because it's sort of like, well, there's no one here. So anyway, let me show you this watch, because it's a super watch, and I've just really loved having it. Sometimes it can be difficult to hear me over that howling IPE. So there we go. So this is the Pepsi GMT in white gold. There we go. I just love the pastel blue and the red. I say when the red was first launched on a Rolex ceramic bezel, it came into this very reference. So it's a super watch for travelling with. Obviously, you've got the time zone adjustment. It's very heavy. It sits on the wrist really, very well. I love your balance to it. Just a super watch. And I say I really like the black dial, but I would let this watch go for the meteorite one because it's so Moorish and it really fires and pops the dial, and would like to get that watch. So there we go. A very solid, very enjoyable watch, which it's been filling to have in. It's just coming up to 6 years old now that I've had this watch. So there we go. Anyway, I'm here at Porsche Centre Kendal. It's the Macan GTS next. Thanks very much for your support on the channel. I might have a little bit of an announcement to make about the YouTube and about the direction I'm going to be taking things, maybe in the next video. But thanks very much for watching today's video. And don't forget to subscribe, put some comments in about the Spider still. Maybe the spec could be slightly amended. Tell me what your thoughts are. Don't be disappointed if you don't get a GT3 992, because this generation it's probably just as good, even though Frank and Annie may say otherwise. So thanks very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.